What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jeremy here with a new video. So it's no secret that in the past few years, Hollywood has been doing almost everything in its power to make its content as woke as possible. And to be honest, as a person of color, I gotta say for the most part, I respect the efforts being made here, regardless of how disingenuous the gestures may or may not be. I mean, let's face it, there was a time in the film industry where women were nothing but some arm candy for the white male protagonist or a weak damsel in distress. And as for the black people, I mean, we were lucky to even be in the movie, period. Back then, they were really content with just taking a white dude, rubbing some black paint on his face, and calling it a day. So the fact that we're at this point where we finally have some representation for people of all races and genders is undoubtedly a monumental step in the right direction. However, as much as I'm here for the diversity that we're getting in cinema, I can't help but get mad when these diverse characters feel forced, and even more so when they're not well written. What gets me even more heated is when studios accuse fans of bigotry when they're called out for the weak writing and weak storylines that usually come with these forced roles. Again, don't get me wrong. I mean, Lord knows, growing up I would have loved to see more diverse casts and characters in the things that I watched. Playing pretend with some of my friends as a kid and then being questioned on who I would be because none of the characters looked like me just sucked. Even worse, being forced to be an obscure and irrelevant minority or minority passing character was just downright humiliating. I don't know if anyone else went through this, but imagine playing Dragon Ball Z with your friends and then having your hopes and dreams torn away as you're told you have to be Mr. Popo instead of Goku because he's the black one. So in many ways, I do think it's great that the world is finally giving minority groups better representation and making it a point to create more diverse roles for women and people of color. The problem is that while Hollywood seems to be trying to be as woke and inclusive as possible, they also don't seem to care about the quality of the roles. Sure, we're getting leading roles, but what good is that if the character we're playing lacks nuance and depth? What's even worse is when studios are faced with genuine criticism, they immediately choose to blame their audiences for not being woke enough, or even worse, racist or misogynistic. I'm looking at you, Disney Star Wars. Now don't get it twisted. There are definitely some angry white men sitting on their keyboards as we speak, wiping the Cheeto dust from underneath their man titties, waiting to troll the next black female actress simply for being a black female actress. I'm not saying these people don't exist. Trust me, I know. I grew up playing Xbox Live lobbies and chatting in video game forums in the early 2000s. If I had $1 for how many times I heard or read a salty white dude call someone a racial slur, I'd have enough money to buy Lucasfilm myself. But while there are definitely large amounts of hate-mongering trolls out there, there's also clearly a stronger audience who just wants good stories, well-written characters, and enjoyable content. We've seen diversity done right many times in the past and present. Take Amazon Prime's new hit series, The Boys, for example. The Boys hosts a diverse cast and crew that is well acted and well casted. Each member of the main cast brings something different to the table, both from a character-based and demographic perspective. There are strong female characters that come across as strong and empowered without it feeling forced or cheesy. Not to mention, the plot of the show itself is quite good and engaging. Despite all the angry and misogynistic men out there that apparently can't handle strong female characters, no one seems to question whether this is a great show or not. Why? Because it's well written and well done. But Jeremy, that's an original series. Clearly the hate we're talking about is coming from overgrown man babies who can't let go of the past. Maybe I think that was a plausible argument if it wasn't for the fact that these same man babies didn't seem to be much of a problem when it came to other diverse characters within their favorite franchises. Let's take the Reva controversy from the Kenobi series, for example. Now, if you guys aren't familiar, an African-American actress by the name of Moses Ingram played a new character in the new Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi series and received some backlash from the Star Wars community. Some of the backlash for her portrayal was noted as being racially motivated. Now, before I get into it, the most interesting thing I found about this situation was that Lucasfilm accused their audiences of racism on Moses Ingram's behalf before the Kenobi series even came out. Now, just so I can make myself clear from the beginning, if you want to criticize a character, be my guest. I think constructive criticism is key for us to get better content in the future. But the minute you attack an actor or actress, and especially their race, I'm gonna have to tell you to go f yourself. Respectfully. I also think it's important that Lucasfilm, or any company for that matter, should undoubtedly stand behind its actors and actresses in the face of any unfair adversities. However, what I think happened here is not that, and is part of a much larger problem. Let me remind you guys again, Disney told Moses Ingram specifically to anticipate racist backlash from fans. Now, while I respect Moses Ingram, she is clearly not the first woman or person of color to have a prominent role in Star Wars. Though I'm not gonna sit here and act like Star Wars has B, T levels of black people in it, there have clearly been very prolific characters of color with huge roles within the series. There's been Lando Calrissian, played by both Billy Dee Williams and Donald Glover, Mace Windu, played by Samuel Jackson, Finn, who is played by John Boyega, Ahsoka Tano, who is now played by the Afro-Latina actress Rosario Dawson, Jango Fett, Boba Fett, and the entire clone army, who is played by native New Zealand actor Tamora Morrison, Bail Organa, played by Jimmy Smits, and most recently, Moff Gideon, played by Giancarlo Esposito. Now again, this does not outweigh the amount of white characters with prominent roles in the Star Wars universe, but each and every one of these characters, both old and new, has been met with mostly love, praise, and enthusiasm from the Star Wars community. If the Star Wars community was so racist, why was Giancarlo Esposito's character so loved and celebrated? If the Star Wars community hated women so much, why are there so many fans clamoring for the new Ahsoka series? Moff Gideon in The Mandalorian practically played the same role as Reva in the Kenobi series, and people loved him for it. And you're gonna tell me that Disney had to prep Moses Ingram because fans are racists? Where was that energy for Samuel L. Jackson, Giancarlo Esposito, Rosario Dawson, or Donald Glover? Samuel L. Jackson is literally one of the most black, a prolific black actors, and fans have been begging for his return since Revenge of the Sith. And you expect me to believe that fans didn't like Reva because she was African American? Sounds to me that Disney wasn't prepping her for racism, but because they knew they didn't give her a well-written role in the series, and they knew fans wouldn't be happy with it. And when it comes to Moses being a woman, I personally don't think the world is all that afraid of having strong female leading characters either. So I don't think you can say fans were even being misogynistic here. Like I stated with Amazon's The Boys, I think if you created a solid plot with solid direction, played by solid actors, people will inevitably gravitate towards your creative project. It's the reason why people cheered for Uma Thurman in Kill Bill, but booed Daisy Ridley in the Star Wars sequel trilogy. People didn't hate Rey because she was a girl, and they also didn't hate Rey because of Daisy Ridley. Daisy Ridley is a phenomenal actress. They hated Rey because she was trash. She was a mediocre character written into a mediocre plot. Inversely, in Kill Bill, they loved Uma Thurman's character Beatrix Kiddo because she was an amazing character written into a captivating plot. You guys seeing the pattern here, or is it just me? Please don't get me wrong here. This is not me turning a blind eye to bigotry. I understand that bigotry is still alive and well today. Like I said, those dudes with the Cheeto dust underneath their titties are unfortunately always gonna be there. I just don't think studios can solely blame them for all the negative feedback they get on their projects. Hollywood studios and directors need to focus on the story, writing, and directing first, and then worry about the identity politics. As much as I want my movies and TV shows to be as inclusive as possible, I'd rather give women and people of color quality roles rather than giving them parts just for the sake of having them. Honestly, in my opinion, if you continue to give women and people of color half-baked roles and mediocre storylines, it's just going to do the opposite of what you claim you're trying to accomplish. Instead of discouraging racism and misogyny, the film and TV industry are only going to make matters worse as they give the world the false impression that women and minorities are less likely to act in good films. People will start rolling their eyes as they assume any TV show starring a black woman is going to be riddled with weak plots and identity politics. People will stop fighting for inclusivity in film and start begging for the good old days again. And the sad thing is, I think we're already starting to see that. Hollywood, do us all a favor and write characters and plot lines well, and fans will embrace your stories and characters regardless of gender, race, or sexual orientation. Sure, there will always be bigots, but if you create quality, the positive feedback will always outshine the negative. At least that's my take. What do you guys think? Is woke culture ruining our favorite movies and shows, or are people just too intolerant to embrace change? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and until next time, peace.